Okay. So I'm going to do that whole little spiel again because
Okay.
rather than try to put two recordings together, I'm just going to start over. So welcome to the fall 2022 VSGI Speaker Series. We started this a few semesters ago. I don't remember how many at this point, with the idea that we bring in some, very game specific stuff, as well as some that are a little more tangential, things that could appeal to everybody. We have a very interesting guest today, Justin from Improve on Health. The goal of these is that people can attend live or virtually. So this is going to go up on our website, and so people can enjoy this later. They won't get the cool Q&A that we can do with Justin today, but they'll still benefit from all the cool stuff that Justin's been doing. With that in mind, Justin, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what brought you here today, all the cool stuff. And I know you have a passion for what you do in a business. So tell us about everything you did to get here, what you're doing in the future, why you're with us, all that wonderful stuff. And it's your show for the next while. And then if people come in, I will keep them entertained and chat and keep that going while you're going. So it's all you.
Great. Thanks, James. All right, so I have a couple slides that I wanted to share today. Let me try to make the deck a little bit more visible for you all. How's that?
Looks good to me.
Okay, awesome.
I can see the important stuff, so that's all that matters. So tell us, go on.
Perfect. Okay, so hi everybody. James, thanks for the intro. My name is Justin Amoyle. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Improve on Health, and we do enterprise-wide med management. Today, I want to talk to you all about a few things, basically cover what we do. I think that's always a good place to start. I'll give you an overview of the platform, talk a little bit about neurotech and why we're so focused on it at Improve on Health. I want to review a study that we recently completed with a lot of help actually from VSGI, and also talk through some of the actionable data that we gathered from that study and the decisions that we're making because of it. So for what we do, the main problem that we solve is med management and enterprise care. The processes in place today are extremely manual. They're very error prone, very time consuming for the teams that manage medications for the residents of these sorts of agencies. Some of our customers today include assisted livings, group homes, supported and independent livings, and skilled nursing facilities. You might be wondering why these problems even matter, and they matter actually to each individual in the med management ecosystem within these sorts of organizations. So for the administrators, like a director of nursing, these medication errors can drive violations, which lead to large fines, upwards of over $100,000. In addition to the fines, there's additional trainings that can be required for the staff, and that basically holds these organizations back from operating at full capacity. When they don't have enough staff members to man all of the beds that they're supporting, they're losing money, and that's very important to them, obviously. They also want to deliver good care and eliminate liabilities associated with medication errors. In addition to the liabilities, they're missing reimbursement dollars for the services they're providing. Many of the organizations that we work with are providing medication management services that are reimbursable, just don't have a technology that makes it easy for them to track the data necessary to process that reimbursement. As far as the staff goes, these nurses are wasting up to 3 to 4 hours per shift managing medications. We take those manual tasks, automate them, and can save them at least 25% of the time that they're spending today on med management. Also, from a regulatory perspective, there's a lot of non-compliance in these agencies. We use our tech to standardize regulatory compliance, make it easy for these teams to comply. And most important, of course, are the residents. These individuals are actually subject to the medication errors day in and day out. They're reliant on someone else preparing, administering, and keeping records on all the medications that they're taking every single day. And the more error prone these processes are, the more errors that occur. Also, we do a lot of work in the neurodiverse space. And so there's a big problem with lack of independence there. Think about an individual with intellectual developmental disabilities such as autism living in a group home or a supported living agency from the time that they're an early adult, like 18, 19, 20 years old. They're reliant on a caregiver from that time in their life, managing their medications until the time they're older. That means that they can't get through the day without that caregiver being successful. We want to use our platform, and specifically gamification, to drive independence, motivate these individuals how to learn how to manage their medications on their own, and therefore do this for themselves and not be reliant on someone else. Our platform is an IoT platform, Internet of Things. We connect all the individuals in the slide I showed you before this, the administrators, the nursing staff, and the clients. We connect them in real time, and we automate the processes in order to eliminate liabilities. For the administrators, they have access to our web app and our mobile app. Nursing staff, our mobile app and our connected hardware device, or our Medbox, and the residents, our mobile app and our connected hardware device. We're really particular about our interfaces, and so each of these roles see different interfaces. We only try to show people what they need to see to make the process as simple as possible.
Hi.
To be completely clear, this comes up all the time. We are not
Like olive oil or
Jacob, your mic is on.
I gotcha. Just muted them for you. Yeah, we're not an EHR, we're not an EMR, we're not a pharmacy solution. We're a new category of tech for enterprise care. We connect EMRs, we connect EHRs, and we connect pharmacy solutions. We're integrating right now with industry-leading partners such as Point Click Care and QS1 to do exactly that. When this platform is implemented for agencies, what we try to do, like I mentioned earlier, is eliminate liabilities and miss reimbursement from the agencies. We save administrators from lacking awareness. We keep them connected to all their staff and all their clients in real time. We help the staff stop wasting time, eliminate manual processes and errors. And for the residents, we eliminate these medication errors and lacking independence. This is our platform. So like I said before, we have a connected Medbox, a web app, and a mobile app. I'm not going to dig into each of the individual features, but during the Q&A section, if you have any questions, please ask. Okay, so neurotech at Improve on Health. This is extremely important to us and something that, to be honest, we love doing, and we're constantly learning from it. We have neurodiverse interns that work with us. They help us iterate on our interfaces to make them usable and help us get that real life perspective of, does this thing actually work? Does this do what we're trying to make it do? As far as the study that we just worked on, I'm going to take you through some specific slides about that in a second, but the main goal for that was really deepen our understanding of the interfaces and the method of providing instruction that's preferred by this population. We've also conducted over 700 interviews with individuals in the neurodiverse medication management ecosystem. That's really what kind of kicked us off and got us on this path of focusing on neurotech. So for some of the survey results, James, I think you'll really like this, by the way. This was that IRB that we had worked on together. So one of the main questions that we wanted to try to answer was, do people with intellectual developmental disabilities even like video games? Is that something that's preferred? And so good news is we found out that they do. 41% of them chose playing video games as their favorite hobby, and 44% chose playing video games as their favorite activity out of those that listed below. 83% do play video games. That was a pretty resounding result that we saw. And 36% are playing them more than once per day. So we know this is something that individuals with intellectual disabilities are already doing. It's not a big change to their existing routine. It's utilizing something they're familiar with to teach them independence and make that easier and achievable for them. We learned about the types of games that they're into, and we're integrating those into our app as we speak. One of the big questions we're also curious about is changing the appearance of characters, how necessary that was. That is a pretty big feature for us to develop. So we just wanted to make sure that it was preferred before we put the time into developing it. We asked, and we found out that 77% of the participants of this study did want to change the appearance of the characters. We wanted to know what they'd like to modify. So we learned that they wanted to modify primarily the entire character. We learned that includes outfits, capabilities, and accessories of those characters. We then wanted to understand what character types do the users we're looking to support really prefer. We found out anime and cartoons were amongst the top choices. Lessons from games. We basically wanted to try to understand, do people currently look at games as a method to learn something that's useful in the real world? And pretty surprising to me, 76.5% of them said yes. And so that was an exciting result because, James, I just got a notice that said the meeting is going to end in 10 minutes.
Oh, interesting. I'll poke Ilya about that. Keep talking.
Okay, all right, no worries. As far as rewards, we wanted to create a routine repetition and reward-based system. We learned through customer discovery that this is really the way to drive independence in this industry. Creating a routine that's repeatable, that's the repetition piece, and then rewarding the individuals for succeeding in that portion of the routine. We're doing this with in-app rewards, and in the future plan to move towards real-life rewards. As far as step-by-step instructions, this was pretty surprising. We initially thought that animations would really be the top choice. And what we learned was individuals really do prefer step-by-step instructions as opposed to figuring things out themselves, although they'd like to see it in text rather than an animation. We then wanted to dig into the health-related aspects and how interesting that was to the participants of this study. We learned that medication management was something that they were interested in. So thank goodness, because that's what we do. We also wanted to figure out the other aspects of the health-related routine that these individuals were curious about. We're receiving a lot of requests from our customers to do full-on routine management and not just medication management. And so that drove that question. When we dig deeper into the medication management related preferences, this was the laydown of the types of data points that they're really interested in. Positive impacts of the medications. We currently track negative and positive, so that was exciting. We're working on a way to provide those positive impacts in a digestible format. Want to learn how to deal with the side effects, best practices to comply. That's really kind of the essence of our entire mobile app. With these insights, what we've done is started working with two members of the VSGI team, Connor and Nate, who are incredible. They've helped us start developing some of the initial screens, interfaces, capabilities when it comes to gamification. The whole idea, like I said, is routine, repetition, and reward. What we want to do is provide a routine of taking your medications properly at the right time in the right amounts, day in and day out, repeating that, helping that become repeatable through notifications, simple use interfaces, and then delivering rewards. And we're delivering these rewards, like I said earlier, in the form of in-app rewards like tickets. So as you take your medications properly, you get tickets. You can then use those tickets to unlock avatars, change the appearance of your avatar, and even play games with the avatar. This is a game that was actually designed by one of our interns. You're able to throw the Frisbee, tell the dog when to jump and catch the Frisbee, and you're able to receive points and tickets for doing that. That's all I have for you today. Thank you for this opportunity. Just want to open up for questions.
Cool. Yeah. So Ilya is going to look at why it says only time left of a certain amount of time, which is very strange because it should have been for a full hour if we look at the editing. But worst case, we'll finish up and then we'll do an add-on feature if we need to. So one of the things I thought was really cool, and I love that the stats that you had there, and the idea that you know, when looking at the neurodiverse and looking at like what they like to do and being able to, you know, fill this need is huge, right?
Yep.
How so far has like that kind of development of these games, aside from getting the cool information and doing the surveys, like how has that process been? I know there's been, you guys use a slightly different process than some of the others, but how's that been working with some of the interns and stuff from the program as far as getting games into your app?
It's been honestly a huge learning curve for me. I've never done anything with game design before. I didn't know anything about it. And I don't know where we would be without Connor and Nate on this effort. Like they've been instrumental in not only helping build the stuff, but really coordinating with our interns to ensure that their ideas are getting integrated into what we're actually building, helping us manage the progress on Trello, and building game design documents to keep everything in one place so that we can always kind of look back to it as new questions come up.
So I know part of what you guys did. Oh, how does the Jacob had just a question about the app. How does the app know the medication was taken? Do staff enter it? Human mistakes. I assume that's part of the hardware, correct?
Yeah, great question, Jacob. Basically, the hardware only allows access to the right medications at the right times for the right people, and the staff is responsible for confirming that the medication was taken. If that individual that's prescribed that's taking the medications is at a high enough level of functionality to administer their own meds or do self-admin, that's just a checkbox in our app. You can authorize any resident or client to do self-admin. They would then be the ones responsible for confirming that they took it.
Yeah, and that's all done through the app and keeping that.
Exactly.
And one of the big things, and I know this is, this you talked about it a little bit, but one of the big things about this type of program is the idea, and that's what you wanted the games for, right? This idea that you're trying to take folks and make them more self-reliant, right? This idea that they can not only track their own stuff potentially, but learn why it's important and learn things like that. So, what were some of the quick game ideas that you guys were working on right now, as far as that can tie into that?
So for us, like we really want to focus on learning from the actual user. So one of the big drivers of the games that we're starting with was actually like development time. And so what we're
Hmm.
doing is utilizing some of these Unity game templates and then building in our mechanisms on top of them. So these reward systems, for example, are built on top of existing Unity games where then we can insert the avatars that we're using from our app. So some of the games include the fetch game. We also have like a mouse chaser game that kind of works like the old snake game on the phone, but instead of using a snake, you use the pet that you selected in an app.
That's awesome. And I know one of the things that we had talked about was like this idea that, like, by taking care of a pet, you're also kind of, abstracting this idea of taking care of yourself, right? By showing that, like, doing good things in the game equals,
Yes.
fun. You're also kind of reiterating this idea that, like, hey, if you're doing the same thing to yourself, then it's going to be good for you. So it gets people in this habit, right?
Yeah, we're looking in the future to like kind of highlight the emotions of the pets as well, which is like exactly what you're talking about. If there's bad medication compliance, then kind of showing some of those impacts on the pets. We've thought pretty deeply about that. Like we do these impact surveys now where we kind of touch on the potential side effects of medications that are used.
Hmm.
And so we thought about if there's a way that we could animate the side effects on the actual pets for the medication regimens that those users were on. And haven't finalized anything on that yet, but I think it's definitely a really interesting idea.
Okay. Well, since it may cut us off in 2 minutes, and I know you hit most of your stuff, and we can always continue or do our follow up as needed. What are your next steps? I mean, what are when do you expect to start putting some of these games into the app? Uh, you Testing out some of that stuff you got back from the survey by actually putting it in, to practice, those type of things.
I think within the next 2 to 3 months, we should be launching a new version of the app with the games in them, at least this fetch game at a minimum,
Hmm.
as well as the reward system for compliance and the modification of the character. So I think within 2 to 3 months, we should have this in there. And then we have a large number of customers that are really eager to start using them. So as soon as they're in the app, they'll
Okay,
be deployed to our customers.
awesome. So, because it may cut us off, and it probably will in a minute, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Justin, thank you for coming on and telling us about, you're doing a wonderful job as far as like reaching out to folks and, uh, doing something that really needs to be done, and will help, like you said, multiple people within this process. And the fact is, games can be a big part of that. And I think that's huge. So, as you get stuff out, just let us know. We can always get QA for you. We can get people to help out, more designers. But thank you. I appreciate you coming out. It's great. And we'll put this out there for folks so that they'll learn about your business. We'll give you the link so you can pass it around and, to talk about your company. But really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Look forward to the next one that we're going to do, and we will put out some more feelers and try to get more folks. And any minute it's going to kick us off, I'm sure. I'm kind of daring it to now.
Yeah. See ya.
Bye.